Josh Harris and the rest of his ownership group are clearly at the helm in Washington after the events of today. Both Montez Sweat and Chase Young were traded away. This would never have happened if the decisions were left to Ron Rivera, as he's fighting for his coaching life this season. I think this symbolizes the end of the Rivera era, and you might see more changes in the coming weeks depending on how bad things get. First, I know a lot of Washington fans are angry about the departure of one or both of their edge rush duo, but neither was under contract after the season, and there was no real scenario where both would be willing to sign back in Washington for the long term. At least not at a number that would make sense for the full roster overhaul the new GM is going to have to do starting in 2024. But before even talking about what the team got back in the trades, you have to acknowledge that even with these two playing together, the Commanders' defense ranks 31st in the league in points per game. They're abysmal. There's no consistent pass rush. The secondary is getting beat deep on a regular basis, and tackling is weak, allowing extra yards after contact on nearly every play. Trading away two starters on this defense likely won't drop them to 32nd in the league in points allowed, but I'm not so delusional to think that it actually improves the defense unless it forces Jack Del Rio to dial up more blitzes because he doesn't expect his 4 first-round pass rushers to get to the quarterback without any additional scheming. So this defense is already at rock bottom for this season, and I don't think these moves really hurt them in the short term. Not that this team will be competing for anything real after Thanksgiving anyway. I feel like this is a good time for me to voice that I am a fan of this team. I want what's best for them in the long term, and this to me is what's best for them in the long term. If no trade were made, then yes, the Commanders would likely receive a compensatory pick in the 2025 draft, but that's not nearly as good as a high second-round pick and a third-round pick in the 2024 draft. I've seen a lot of comments on social media from fans claiming that the Commanders didn't get nearly enough, for Chase especially, but you have to understand that his market just wasn't great. He missed more than a year with a knee injury, missed one game this season with a neck injury, and on top of all that, he hasn't been incredibly productive. Not second overall pick productive anyway. Chase's value around the league was not nearly what fans of the Commanders seem to believe it should be. He's never played a full season, and he has a total of 14 career sacks in 3.5 years. Even Khalil Mack, who was an elite pass rusher with the stats to back it up, was traded in 2022 for a second and a 6th round pick. So anyone expecting a first rounder in return for either of these guys was just delusional. So, allow me to tell you why this is such a good thing for this franchise and what it tells me is happening behind closed doors. First, Ron has never been active at the trade deadline. He doesn't hide his cards very well, and inevitably, he gets less than he could have in most deals. Look at the Trent Williams trade. Ron made it clear that he was going to trade him, even though he could have held out on the franchise tag, or even better still, he could have paid the man. And I know he's injured at the time of this recording, but Williams has been the best left tackle in the league since arriving in San Francisco. All Washington got for him was a 3rd and a 5th rounder. Fast forward to this year, and in a trade with the same team, they traded a significantly less valuable player on an expiring contract and received a 3rd round pick. I'd call that progress, and it's clear that it was a decision made by someone who will be in DC beyond the 2023 season. The Sweat trade was an outstanding move by Washington. There's no other way to look at it. By acquiring the Bears' 2nd round pick in 2024, there's a great chance that they just landed a top 40 pick for a player who has never had double-digit sacks, although likely on his way this season, on an expiring contract. These moves have set the next general manager up with quite a haul. 5 picks in the first 3 rounds allows a multitude of options. They can trade up to go get an elite quarterback or left tackle if the new regime wants to keep rolling with Sam Howell. They can just stay where they are and hopefully land 2 or 3 starters and some great role players or projects. Or they can trade back and package picks to add extra 1st and 2nd rounders in 2025 if they view that as the year to make a move. This also means that there won't be a $20 million franchise tag to worry about on either of these players and leaves Washington's expected cap space in 2024 to be around $90 million. This means that those picks mentioned previously can also be used in the offseason to trade for proven stars at positions of need, and they won't have to worry about the cap hit in most cases, especially because of the rookie contract that Howell is still on. The future is bright in Washington, and I expect the rest of the season to have some ugly moments, especially when Chase Young undoubtedly sacks Sam Howell in Week 17. But if you'll just try to relax, enjoy the ride, and be ready for a brand new beginning in the new year, then maybe you too will see this as a great day of progress in the process.